Liesbeth, thank you for inviting us here in this lovely gallery in the very heart of Breda. Please tell us a little bit more about the space where we are right now and how actually it started to exist.
We are in the center of Breda, near the big market, and we had another space before this in the Veemarktstraat, near the center, near the big market. And we were there last December, we started, and after 3 days open, we had to close down because then we had the lockdown. This was in 2020. And then when we could open again, owner of the shop, of the building, he rented the place to somebody else. And we were just a pop-up gallery, so we had to go out. And then the man of the agency, he told us about this place, and it was also empty already for 2 years. We made a deal that we could rent it for a year. We wanted to be sure that we could really start a gallery, inviting artists.
To not be worried that they will take you out at some point unexpectedly.
Yeah.
So it's a pop-up gallery, but still with the predictability how long it will be here.
Yeah.
Which is very nice. It's very different from a regular model of the pop-up gallery, where you never know when you will start.
No, you have a month, but with a month you never can do your thing. So that's nice.
But pop-up gallery concept actually is a worldwide concept. It's not something unique that you come up with. It's something that exists.
No.
How you knew about that concept before? Did you participate in other models similar to that?
No.
So for you, it's an absolutely new experience.
Yeah, this is a new experience. Yeah, and not only that, the whole idea of having a shop and be an owner of a shop is new for us, also for Paul, and we do this together.
And you are both artists, right? He is a composer.
Yeah, in music.
You are the person who is involved in the art sphere. In the gallery level.
And that's why Paul asked me to do this. Well, he's more the commercial, of the commercial side of the gallery.
Can you tell us a little bit more about you as an artist? What is your background and what are the artworks that you like to do?
I've studied fashion design here in Breda at St. Joost, but that's already 30 years ago. In 2015, I've done Fontis to be a teacher, and now I'm also an art professional in schools. I have my own atelier in Breda. Yeah.
What are your favorite materials and techniques that you are using in your artworks?
The material I always go for is textile, still, and then together with mostly acrylic paint or clothing, but it also can be curtains that I paint.
You enjoy this softness and this silk style of material that is very, you should touch it very carefully.
Yeah.
You don't work with heavy materials most of the time.
No, soft materials and in combination with acrylic paint.
You also have a very nice collection of thin, beautiful threads that you use in smaller size paintings. And we will come to your atelier and see ourselves the techniques that you are using.
Yeah.
But let's come back here in the gallery where you are also presenting. What else you have here and what is the model? How you choose the artworks that you have in the gallery?
When we started, we contacted the artists we knew. So there are some people who are painter and they're friends of us, our relatives, and we asked them if they wanted to be in the gallery with their work. Now we are here in the Hallstraat. It's going so fast, especially with the artists who come here, who wanted to present their work here. Now it's more the The artists who come and ask if they can present their work in the gallery, then we who are going to search for artists. It changed.
And how you came up with the wonderful collection behind you?
Paul made contact with a guy who has a lot of works of these Dutch new classical painters. The man Paul came in contact with has a lot of this work in his house, and he was prepared to come to the gallery and show us, and we had a conversation with him, and then we came up with the idea of presenting it in the gallery as a theme exposition. This is what's still here, hanging here, because the exposition is done now, but we still have some works. This is work from AntonHeyboer, and we also had in this theme exposition Karel Appel and Corneille.
Having together these astonishing artists, do you see it still connected with the time? Because it was very reactive on their own time.
Yeah.
And when I visit the exhibition, it really strikes me how actual they are nowadays.
Yeah.
For sure there is some conceptual element presenting in that, but what was your trigger? Why you wanted the public to see this exhibition?
Because we already had one or two Heyboers in our collection hanging here, and there were so many people, visitors who came by, and everybody knows this painter, and everybody was saying something about him, or so they are still alive. They're dead. Also, Appel and Corneille, they're all dead, but they're still alive. Everybody knows about them, knows their works, and that's why we thought, oh, it's still alive in Holland, the classical painters. So let's bring them in and see what's the reaction.
And what was the reaction?
Well, the reaction was always very good. Also, a lot of visitors, but unfortunately, I think we only sold one painting. Yeah. One or two.
Can you call this a tough moment for the art world in general? Do you see it as a moment where people are more like saving money and not so much investing in art?
No. That's what that I think is so strange, because it's a time that people haven't, they don't know where they have to go with their money, because shops are closed, everything's closed. What are they going to do? They're going to reorder, rearrange, or buy, sell or buy their house. They do things with their house. And when you do that,
to make it more likable, to spend more time there.
Yeah, also that, of course, yeah. Decorating your walls is one of the things you can do then. So we expected more about, people who wanted to buy something.
But in any case, the artworks are still here and they are still open for the customers. So if anybody has an interest, they can address to the gallery, and they can make a purchase. What was Tuur's role here during the closing of the exhibition?
Oh, what was our connection with Tuur? Yeah, well, he did the opening speech of the theme exposition of the classical Dutch painters. Well, he is into art in the way that he knows much about it, and he's teaching also students about art. It's a good friend. It's a good friend of Paul, and mine too.
First of all, thank you for your time that you dedicate to this meeting.
It's my pleasure.
It's a part of the podcast Art Matchmakers, and we start this podcast here in Breda, lovely Breda. Now we are in this lovely gallery. It started recently, but the owners are really putting a lot of efforts to present amazing exhibitions, and we actually met in one of these exhibitions. We will talk about this in our conversation, but can you first please tell me a little bit more about yourself and your background? Do you originally come from here?
I come from Breda. I was born and raised here. And
I will not ask which year.
Oh, you may. 1962. I studied history, theology and philosophy in Nijmegen and in Tilburg. And the last 21 years, I am a senior lecturer at the University of Practical Sciences, Fontys in Tilburg. And I teach a little bit of theology, 3 courses, no more than that. And most of the time I spent doing philosophy and art. It's about novels and it's about fine art. And it's well, I love to do it.
Do you write yourself?
I wrote last Sunday a very small story for Paul, who is the owner of this gallery, one of the owners. I once said to my partner that she's a very good musician. And I said, don't study religion, which she did. But be an artist for all the philosophers and just want to be artists, really. They didn't make it as an artist. And then you go into philosophy, which is okay, but we prefer...
Yeah, they say the same as for the curators. Everybody who didn't become artists become a curator.
Yeah, it is.
I totally disagree with this. I enjoy my job and
okay.
I find it as an artistic part of the environment.
It is of course. But in my case it's true. I like writing a lot, but I'm not very good in it. I like painting, but I'm bad in it.
How was the life here back then in your childhood? Do you see a big significant difference in Breda? Or?
Well, wow, I didn't expect that question, to be honest. I was raised in a neighborhood which was quite poor, you could say, laborers. We had a little shop, flowers. I always wanted to move away from that environment, from that social, cultural. When I come back now to that neighborhood, I'm always glad that's over with that. The other part of me is still very proud to be raised over there in that neighborhood. And I think that specific Breda atmosphere, you could say, is really gone. I had so many aunts and uncles over there, you could say. It weren't aunts and uncles in the
almost
familiar
like
way.
Van Gogh. He had an uncle here.
Yeah, well, I have 2 years still. It's changed a lot. Yeah, it's far bigger than when I was. I think it's twice.
And which is right now your favorite part? Where you enjoy to spend your time?
I'm over here in the center. I like to be over in the center. There's the shops, the pubs. There's life, you could say.
Yeah, it has really a very nice life going on in the center, and I would say it's not par example a cultural city, but still there is a significant culture that distinguishes Breda from surroundings and cities like Tilburg or Rotterdam or Eindhoven, which is very engineer, very technological.
It's true.
So you are teaching, and what is the biggest struggle that you find now with the nowadays students? What is their motivation, their interest in art?
They're not interested in art. They like paintings, they like sculpture, of course, because it's amusing, something like that. But when you do philosophy about fine arts and literature, you want to go into that. It's not just amusing. It is not only beauty. Mm-hmm. It should be more than that, and that's a challenge still. That's still a challenge to For example, there's no problem when you have very big artists like Marina Abramovic. Well, that's so big, so strong, no problem. Then I say, well, look at this performance. The artist is present, for example, and see how Nietzsche, Friedrich Nietzsche's philosophy is an embodied philosophy about art, about Nietzsche. And then that becomes difficult.
Plus, when we talk about Nietzsche giving the point that he was deeply disappointed of the stage of art through Wagner, and we have all these fairs nowadays, art fairs, even Basel was recently. People maybe expect a little bit more from art, or what you have noticed that is missing in this connection? Why students don't see it as a basic need, let's say?
Well, there is a basic need. It's very hard for them to see that it's more than amusement.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I think contemporary art is amusement, but it's more than that.
Especially the conceptual one.
Precisely, and that's very hard for them to understand. But if you see Museum de Pont in Tilburg, they have a lot of work made by Anish Kapoor, the British Indian artist, one of my favorites. Well, that's a complete experience. And when you see Vertigo, you go into this mirror, if you could say it's a mirror. If you see this hall which isn't a hall, and that's an experience. Sky mirror, when you enter the museum, there's a large mirror. But to make clear to them that this experience is an experience about a sky, which is 24/7 above your head. Okay, well, you said that. No, that is very fundamental. It's basic.
And constantly changing environment. They are alive works that change in temporal manner.
Precis, exactly. And to say that this being, this thing, this work of art, is also about time. And well, that's difficult, but okay. Some manage to get into it, if you could say that. And well, if you have an A or a B for their exams, it's okay.
Yeah.
They think it's okay. And there are students who are very motivated after the course and still want to go on. And
as a basic, what are their backgrounds? Are they artists?
Some are artists, but psychology, for example, they take a course into fine arts and philosophy.
Yeah, we have examples for art therapy. Now it's getting more and more trendy. I assume also in your sphere you meet people that do art therapy. But sometimes I wish that people can get their own therapy when they visit gallery such as this one or a museum.
Well, of course, Alain de Botton just wrote, I think 10 years ago, a book which is art as a therapy. And that's one of the main perspectives that we have lost, I think, that art is also, not only, also therapy. For you see what it is, if you struggle with suffering, if you lost someone, well, there's art that can give you a perspective how to deal with that. In the older days, you could say that was church. Church religion gave you that tools. Well, God is dead, we talked about Nietzsche. And what's left?
Plus, slowly churches are also now full with art.
They are.
A lot of artists were invited to dedicate their work inside the religious temple.
Yeah, and it's okay.
Yeah.
I think it's wonderful. Like in the old days, you could say. Art and religion both are about dealing with the fundamental facts of life, you could say, and how to do that. Now, I think that therapy and art, you brought it up, is, well, that's a connection which I like to explain to my students that there's a lot of possibilities when you go into that, and you have to then it's a dialogue between you, the artist, and the situation which you are dealing with.
Yeah, and when we put on the side the religious perspective, we also have the political perspective. Art is very strongly influenced by the social activities, cultural changes, and it also has a political dimension. How people that you are talking with actually accept this, how they see it as a...
Well, I think that's one of the things that they find very exciting, especially Banksy, which is very popular at the moment. And well, that's political, but in a fine way, I think. It's one of my I think for a lot of students, this is a very easy way to come into the political perspective on art, and which art can give to you. So they like that. They like that a lot, and they see that's going on. And for example, the environment and things around recycling. A lot of plastics sculptures made nowadays from waste plastics, and well, okay, that's fine. But I want to go a little bit further than that. It's fine. It's okay. It's amusement. I like it. It's just beautiful to say. Oh, then we go into that. What's the which structures make that we live like we live?
And brought us to that point.
Yeah, and we are the structures also. Structures are structures, okay, but we are the structures. That makes.
I really love Manifesto. I don't know, have you seen this movie?
Yeah, I know.
It's a super funny movie because it takes you through all these stories, and I like the perspective of that it's presented in the movie about the art and propaganda connection. And I see in this more commercial type of galleries, and also in some of the attitude in the government, what they finance, what they promote in the museums, for example, propaganda messages. I see the girl with the pearl earrings everywhere, as a reproduction, oversized, as a wallpaper, in any kind of entertainment shape. Do you have this conversation with your students where propaganda stays in the national level and also in the international, connected with?
Yeah, of course. At the moment, we discuss this. Well, I think it's in 2 weeks. That's one of the themes we will discuss. Some are into it, and some really don't want to hear about that. Okay, but I have to teach about really this political perspective that art can give to you, and the propaganda, the ideology, and things like that. For art is also, we just talked about religion. You could say that's embodied ideology, when the art is in the church or wherever.
In the very positive perspective of the propaganda, do you think that they see how powerful art can be actually to communicate messages and to...
They see, but it's very easy to see it backwards. It's very hard to see it in the actual world you're living in at the moment. Then you say, well, how about propaganda? How about it's just my life? It's very easy to talk about the Middle Ages and things like that, and say that's propaganda. No, but still, well, why do you think there's so much change in the world? It changed. It's changed in shape. We'll manage sometimes to get it into their heads and maybe also in their souls.
On that topic, we are slowly leading to the exhibition on which we met with you, CoBrA exhibition presenting few of the artworks of the group, plus in addition
AntonHeyboer.
What are your impression about this exhibition? Tell me more about it.
Well, I really love AntonHeyboer, for he is one of the big figures in Dutch fine arts, I think, who is not only an artist or a painter or a sculpture or things like that. No, he is in itself an artwork. And we talked about Nietzsche a little bit. And Nietzsche says, well, how about art? Let's make your own life into an artwork. Or Oscar Wilde once said, my talent is for my work. My genius is it's about my life. And I think that AntonHeyboer is doing that in a very particular, very unique way.
Yeah, and those are artists who made statements.
His life is a statement, and making art is one of the elements in this life.
Use the art as an instrument to communicate the message that he wanted to send.
Also, but not only a message. I think when you see CoBrA, we see Corneille and Appel. That's a message. It's far complicated with AntonHeyboer. And that's why I love AntonHeyboer a little bit more than those two. But still, I think CoBrA is a statement. In the catalogue, there was a motto. These artists are dead, but no, they're alive. And in Dutch is, deze kunstenaars zijn dood, maar ze zijn zo levend als wat. And on this motto, I meditated and reflected a little bit. And it's true. Because CoBrA, and in a way AntonHeyboer, is all about life. It is a statement. And I don't know if it's true, but I like to put it this way. CoBrA is like the snake. It is really that snake that is one renewing itself constantly, because the skin is, every year it's a new skin. But this CoBrA, this king CoBrA, I once went to India, and I'm very afraid of serpents and snakes. And think, and when you're white like me, then there's the basket before you, there's the flute, ooh, there's the CoBrA. But this is, when you hear this music, you say, when you hear this sound of music, this Orpheus thing, then you, I just have to put it in my, to just answer about to this challenge. And I think CoBrA is an answer to this challenge to say this is life in a naive way, very childish, you could say, the paintings, but that's the power about it. It's not about death, it's not about suffering, it's about life. And that's about CoBrA. That's what I like about these artists and their work. And I think just as I put it in a more complicated way, AntonHeyboer is this embodied CoBrA, you could say.
That's so nice. And actually, the opening and the finissage, they were both very well visited. Mm-hmm. It was full when I came. The gallery was inhabited with people mm-hmm. who wanted to see the artworks. But I see more and more people going away from the gallery. People saying, oh, I don't know anything about art. Mm. I don't understand art.
Or they think art is about investment. A lot of people think art is an investment. It's a good investment.
It's a good investment.
Yeah, it's sport, wine and art.
What you would say to encourage people who are still afraid to enter a gallery because they might feel a little bit stupid?
Oh, they think, my little sister can do the same thing. If you can look at Karel Appel, I mess around a little bit, Appel says. I think one of the first thing, but it's about education. Just go into kindergarten and go into basic, the first 8 years of your life. Just enjoy making art yourself, which is art. It's wonderful to do. And then after a year or 5, 6 at school, you just lose this. It isn't very, it doesn't seem to be basic anymore. It's about mathematics, it's about learning English and things like that. But no, the main thing to do in education is to learn to appreciate philosophy, literature, and art, fine art. I always think it's very foolish. I can understand it in capitalism society like we have, but it's foolish just to say, well, we've made art. You can paint and you can make theater and so on in school, and then it's over. It's just 2 or 3 hours a week at the most.
And sadly, more and more people say, oh, I'm not creative. But it is the human nature to be creative. People are people because they are creative, because they have imagination and
when you encourage this imagination, when you encourage this creativity, you can understand what a real artist, if you could say that, is doing. You can appreciate it. Still, there is also, in my case, there are artists I don't like. Well, of course. And there are movies I don't like. And songs and go on. So there are people who love Pink Floyd. Okay. Yeah, they do. But still, there's a lot of other music I can appreciate. And there's a lot of other fine arts I can appreciate. And that's one of the main things I think we've lost that capability just to enjoy art. And to enjoy art is at the same time be interested in what's going on here. Yeah. For well, if you see this one, you can see it. What's going on here? It's not just beautiful pictures for this wonderful city we live in, Breda, but there's
church more especially. The religion is there.
But this artist, Sander, has made a lot of. He plays with this city, and then you become. It is an awakening dream. It's a dream that is awake. No, that's not English. It's as if you are dreaming, but you're awake.
Yeah.
And that's
lucid dream, right?
So, lucid, yes, of course, yes. Yeah. So I think one of the definitions of art, Arthur C. Danto, an American philosopher on art, just said, art is embodied meaning that presents itself as being art, and it takes you into a dream, but you're not dreaming, you're awake. And that's what's happening. That's happening over here. And I really enjoy this one, because not only because it's my city, but because I can walk a little bit over here, just imagine. You can go into all these. You can walk into you can visit. You can step into and to go into it as if it's as if it's a closet in a movie, and the other. That's another world going behind this painting, behind this painting photo. There's another world.
Yeah,
and you're invited to go into that.
It's complicated artwork, and it's also using a lot of new technologies, instrumentarium inside. The instruments and the media are an important part, and when we talk about somebody visiting a gallery as a visitor simply, do you think that it's necessary to have a certain trend that leads the public, that guides the public, or it's still open area where it's like or dislike, understand or not understand?
Yeah, I think it's the last thing you said. It's an open space, an open area. For I don't think there's guidance in trends, you could say, which will, you can guide yourself more. I just visited a gallery in Antwerp a few weeks ago, and it was quite different from here. It was two artists, only two artists were there in the exhibition, and it was very, very, small, you could say, real small. And the next exhibition which will be there in the gallery is just very enormous. Very, a lot of volume, you could say, over there. And I think they change every 6 weeks their exhibition. You can
completely different.
Completely different, really. And this work can be in 6 months over there too.
Yeah, because the start of the COVID, a lot of leaders in the area, let's say, big websites, just such and such Artsy, or this kind of online spaces who promote and present art, they talk a lot about trends. They really try to promote this artwork or this artist or a certain style, which I don't necessarily find very useful for the public.
It isn't. It's just very useful for your wallet, you could say. And it's okay. I don't accuse anybody who wants to get a good living out of art. It's okay. But just say this trend and this is a trend. What's a trend? I don't know. Really, I don't know.
Yeah, here in PopUpConcept Gallery we have a lot of examples of plus different media, different artworks, sculpture, painting. We have also a small artworks that can be a simple gift for a very nice event, let's say. What do you think is the best concept for these city center located galleries that are inviting public, not the very big state museum institution, but this kind of concept?
Well, I think one of the things I love about this gallery is that it's very low profile, you could say. You can buy art. I just did Saturday, and it's wonderful, really. And you could give it as a gift. It's a gift for Santa Claus or Christmas or things like that. And still, the top prices aren't that big. You can still afford it. That's very important for the public when they are a little bit afraid about art. Just start with 50 euros, and it's still art. Of course, it is art. That's one of the things a gallery should do, is to take the public by the hand and not doing the caviar in the one left hand and the champagne in the right hand. For that's about 10,000 and 20,000 euro things. It's okay, but when you want to educate people, when you want to make fine art a little bit more understandable, then I think a concept like this, which is low profile, is okay. And still there is CoBrA here also, because I like this diversity, and I think this work, which we can see, is one of the. It's a very good example of the way this gallery thinks about doing art and educate people into art. For this is very easy to understand.
Yeah.
And it's still very good art, I think.
Yeah. Already from the beginning you mentioned that, of course, art can be a very nice investment. Yeah. What did you mean about that? On what levels it is an investment, and how a person can start to invest in art?
Well, you can start by buying, at the moment, when someone is giving his exhibition when he's graduating from art school. Just buy one of the two things, very cheap. And in 10 years it will become, most of the time, it's 4 or 5 times worth the amount you paid for it. It's a little bit ironic, which I'm saying at the moment. For example, Andy Warhol, who called his business, he said, well, I'm running a factory. And it's all about making profit, he said. He just said that. And he meant it, but in a way which I think is very much like an artist should do things. He was making good living out of it, and at the same time it was very ironical. For you didn't want to buy that piece of art, you just wanted to buy a Warhol. You know, it's iconic.
Yeah.
Well, that's the doubleness, you could say. It's about art. And when you talk about investments, it's the same thing. For example, wine is also a very good investment. But art shouldn't be an investment. It shouldn't be. It should be to enjoy. And to,
but not a simple entertainment.
No,
go a little bit deeper.
Exactly. You should enjoy it. You should wonder about things you see and the things you experience, you hear, of course. And it's okay when you can make money out of it. no problem, really no, not. But when it's only about making money about it, then okay, just start buying port or wine. And
or Vicomte. A lot of objects that look completely the same and just make them in a different color.
Okay, just like Warhol did in a way.
Yeah.
But still, this Warhol was playing. He was a very big artist, and a very big businessman too, which was Rembrandt, and which was Van Gogh wasn't a very good businessman, we know. But
Netherlands built a lot of history around Van Gogh.
Yeah.
Like the personality of Van Gogh is not in good match with what is happening in Netherlands with the heritage of Van Gogh. Making money is not bad.
No. Oh well, there's also, I don't know what his name. Maybe you know. There's an artist who just put his poop into a can, and well, he said, "I do alchemy. I make gold." It's wonderful. So in that way, it's okay. For that makes you think and makes you laugh, and it's okay. And when if people want to buy it for 400 or 600 or 1,000 or maybe more, it's okay. I don't accuse anybody about when they make a good living out of art. No, I think especially artists don't make that much money. Well, the very big ones do, but most of them.
To make money out of art is art itself, so it should be admired.
It should be admired, and you should enjoy it.
Yeah.
And you should think about it. Hegel, one of the big philosophers, said, "Well, there's an end. There's an end into art. It's finished. It's over. The one thing we have to do at the moment is to make art which makes you think." And I just mentioned Arthur Sidento with his definition about art, which you can't find in his books, but well, you can read it into his books, this three-level definition. He is a very big fan of Marcel Duchamp's ready-mades. It's the same thing, and that's what I like about art. This ready-made, it is Fountain, 1917. It was presented for the first time. In a way, it was presented. It was a photograph of it, and that makes you think, what is art? And that's okay, and it makes you laugh. And well, it was worth, I think, $20 when you bought it. Now it's worth millions, I think.
Yeah, and especially with Duchamp example, it's a critic. It's saying art is not what it was, what it used to be. It should change. It should follow the world that is changing.
Yes, exactly, and I like that about Marcel Duchamp and Warhol and people like that. At the same time, you could say that you could criticize that, not because it's new and it wants to be new, but how long can you find comfort and challenge, you could say, in this kind of work? It makes you laugh, it makes you think, but art is also about giving you, maybe like religion, just makes you feel at home in a way, go into this dream. It's about comfort and challenge, both. And I think Marcel Duchamp and Andy Warhol's about challenge. I'd like this comfort side, this comfort aspect about art. I like that too. And I learned that from Roger Scruton, which is one of the main, more or less conservative philosophers about art. But he's making a point over there. We should renew, like CoBrA did, and this again and again and again. And the statement CoBrA made, wonderful. But that's where I'm criticizing CoBrA a little bit, and that's the part where I like Heyboer more, because it says yes, it's a statement about life, yes, and at the same time, if you look at the work of Heyboer, it's very comforting, I think. And these two aspects I like about art, and then it makes big art, you could say.
Maybe just for the end, what about the humor and art? Because a little bit we were talking about it. The joy comes also from the humor, and there are a lot of artists nowadays who are very ironic, and they play a lot with this feeling, and I think the public likes that kind of art a lot.
Yes, and I like it too. And it's the same in a novel and a movie where you can't laugh several times. You should laugh several times because it's very funny. At the same time, when it's only about laughing, when it's only about that, then it's okay. It's amusing. That's amusing. At the same time, that's what's the challenge and the comfort aspect again. It's only criticizing. It's only humoristic. It should have more than that.
Yeah, no. But still, it's not like everybody saying, "Oh, art is very heavy topic. It's too serious. The artwork in museums, they are too big for me."
And sometimes they are.
It's not
really
only about the depression. It's also about the fun in life, the good part of life.
I think that when you go back to the old masters in Dutch painting, it's both. In a way, it's both. Okay. It's not only that big and that's challenging, and no, it's also about laughing, and it's also about comforting, and it changes every time when you see this painting or this sculpture again, and that's the main thing. It should do both, and at several moments, at several different angles, it should do.
Especially when the artist is catching little moments from the everyday life. For example, here in the park in Breda, there is a sculpture of mother who is dragging her child, and it's so cute sculpture that it's just a little scene from the everyday life.
Well, this is wonderful, what you're saying at the moment. For it's about context. You're not from Breda.
No.
Did you notice what's written beneath the sculpture? May 1940. Then there was the Second World War going on. Just started into the Netherlands, May 1940. And Nazi Germany was conquering the Netherlands. And the people of Breda, they said they fled to Antwerp. And this mother is taking a child back to Antwerp, the flight. That's the title of the book.
So it's not fun at all.
No, but it's fun. It's fun when you say that because that's your context.
Yeah,
that's the way you look at it.
The context, I see somebody trying to take his child to school, for example.
He wants to go back to the circus, which is still going on, or the movies.
Exactly.
No. This child is very longing to go back to his home. But this mother said, "No, it's not safe anymore. Go on.
You should go. You should change." Oh my God.
No, it's one
misunderstanding.
No, not at all. Because an artwork is not only about the intention of the artists. At the end, it isn't important at all. It's important how your interpretation of this work works. And if you're not from here and you don't know the title, because it's very good when an artwork doesn't have a title, and you just look at it and you enjoy it, well, that's big art, you could say. You can, from several perspectives, different perspectives, you can go into this work of art. Yeah. And well, I never had that interpretation you have, but it's funny, it's okay. Yeah. And more of that, it makes me think, okay. And it makes me wonder, okay, this Second World War, it's over, you know? It's really, okay. My children, which are 21, 24, and Liesbeth's daughter today is 25, they don't know anything about this Second World War. They know it, of course, but that's not in their daily life.
Yeah. We are living in peace. We don't know that.
And my parents would say, my parents just fled to Antwerp. They know. They framed it that way. You framed it another way. Wonderful. Wonderful. Because time is changing. There's a new situation, there's a new context, and this work can give you, because it's a good work of art, it can give you still this feeling, this dream, this dialogue, and you enjoy it.
I see it as a controversially between the parenting and the childhood, like what child wants and what the parent wants, it's not always matching. And I see the public in the very established modern art in the same context. Like they might have a certain intention, but the new public doesn't read this intention.
And it isn't necessary.
Yeah, exactly.
It really isn't necessary.
Yeah, well, thank you for the very lovely conversation, and I hope that it will be not the only one.
Okay.
That we will be able to talk more about art, because I see that we have a lot to talk about.
It's about art. There's a lot of, we can talk a lot about art. Thank you for questioning. For it. Well, I still have to study my English, and secondly, it made me think. So thank you.
We are back with you. Please tell us what is coming up for the gallery, what you expect to happen in 2022.
Well, I think for everybody that's a big question. But I hope we can go open soon again, that it brings more ideas, maybe also ideas of how you can present works in another way, like social media, what already is, of course, very important and done.
I'm hoping that we will be closer to each other for the next year. And I really enjoyed on the opening and the closing of the exhibition how many people actually you had here. And I wish all the best to the gallery for the next year to come, for that much of visitors.
We too. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that interview, and see you in your atelier very soon.
Yeah, you're welcome.